Hey everyone, it's Dave Wallace from the Medal of Honor channel, and I'm here doing another filler show, just something fun to do in between our typical monthly episodes. This is another vinyl challenge, and this one was put out a little while ago actually by my friend Matt Paradise. Check out his channel, the Accusation Network. It's a really cool channel, it's very informative, and he's got a lot of great shows on there. Very professional, probably one of the best shows on heavy metal and vinyl out there. And he messaged me and said, hey, if you're doing these vinyl challenges, don't forget that I've got one out here. So I said, yeah, I got to do this, so I'm going to get on it. This is actually 13 questions that Matt posted, and these are, you know, all of them related to different vinyl to be shown on the show. So I've got a pile of stuff here, and I'm going to go through these questions. So let's get to it. Number one is pick a label and then show your favorite album from that label. Any label. Well, you know, there's a lot of big ones that everyone already knows in metal. I chose something a little more obscure, something that I've been getting stuff from lately, and that is Dementia. They are a label from the Czech Republic, and putting out some really cool stuff. The first album that the album from there I'm going to talk about is Entrapment. Let me see if I can get the glare off there for you. This is just some really solid death doom metal. Something that I can pretty much listen to anytime. It's got a, you know, it's kind of nice mid-tone to it. It's not screaming fast, but it's not funeral doom. And one of the things I've really loved about this album, which I'll probably talk about in a future episode, but is the art that comes with this. I mean, the cover right there is just incredible. This cool decaying corpse here, although I found this interesting. There seems to be, they took the time to draw a ring on the finger there, which looks like a wedding ring, except that's the wrong hand. So I don't know, unless it was maybe it was originally drawn the other way, I'm not really sure. But anyway, just something interesting. And then check out the art on the inside. I really love this, just super detailed, beautiful. But I did notice this just a little while ago. I had to take time to show my wife this, but get the glare up there. Check this chick out. She's puckering up to this goat's butthole. So I don't know. That's kind of weird. But anyway, really cool band though. Entrapment. Definitely check this one out if you get a chance if you haven't heard them yet. Number two is an album whose artwork is truly bizarre. Well, now that I've had a close look at Entrapment, I probably should have just used that one, I guess. But you know, it's all subjective, what you think is bizarre, what you think is weird, or just doesn't go with it. A lot of metal stuff, of course, is unusual to the average person, but I love it, of course. I like dark, demented artwork. But I went through my catalog and found one that I've always thought was a little strange. Now, this might hurt my metal cred with some of you, but I don't really give a shit because I used to make fun of this band back in the 80s, and then seeing them just about a year or two ago, I realized how incredible that they really are. Amazing musicians. So laugh if you want, but I'm going to choose Winger. Yes, this is in my collection, but this album cover, I don't get it. I don't know. Number one, the eyes are going in different directions. I'm not sure why this one's shooting this way, not that way. And I don't know what that's supposed to represent. Like, I mean, the name Winger is actually his last name, so I don't know what this is, but anyway, that is bizarre to me. Maybe I just don't get pop art, I don't know. Number three is the record in your collection that is in the worst shape. Well, aside from having, you know, a few scratches on it, the jacket of this Boston album is, you know, pretty shredded. Maybe it's in bad enough shape that I can't play the record, and there's no reason for me to have it in my collection. But yeah, this one, you know, the cover is pretty fucked, to be honest with you. A lot of little dings and scratches here, and of course the same as for the vinyl itself. So there you go, Boston. Number four is a band or artist that only has one album. I actually had fewer reviews than I thought I would, going through, you know, looking them up on Discogs and realizing some of these bands that I thought were more unusual actually have more than one album. But I do have one. This is one I found in a flea market for next to nothing. It was the main reason why I got it. This is a band called Sweet Pain. They look pretty cheesy. They are. But it was really interesting to find out that that's Kelly Nichols there from LA Guns. That was the main thing that I thought was really cool about it. So is it a good album? No. But anyway, that was definitely my pick for number 4. Number 5 is to show a band or album who, in a song of theirs, reference the band by name. And when I was watching Matt do this, of course, I would pause after each question and write it down before listening to his answers. So that way I can't do two things at the same time, I guess. So the minute I wrote it down, the first thing I thought was Metallica, because one of the lamest things they ever wrote in their lyrics is "We'll never stop, we'll never quit, because we're Metallica" on the Kill 'Em All album. And then, of course, I hit play button again, and Matt used that one. So I can't use that. I got to have something different, right? So I did come up with one. It's Exodus. This is the Fabulous Disaster album, and you might recall the song "Toxic Waltz." You must exercise, learn to brutalize with us, Exodus. So there you go. They reference themselves in the cheesiest way. Number 6 is an album that others find amazing or important that you think is just okay. Now this one might surprise some people because you know what a huge Rush fan I am, but they have 20 studio albums and they can't all be my favorites, right? So my least favorite Rush album is probably Caress of Steel, which I know for a lot of people, the diehards, they're going to hate that. But my second least favorite album that, again, it's going to surprise a lot of people because this seems to be one of their most classic albums, but it's 2112. I do like it. I even used to play a few songs off this album back in the day, but just as far as Rush stuff goes, it's just my least favorite. I don't know why, it just never really appealed to me. Maybe it was these goofy robes they're wearing, I don't know. But anyway, again, I like the album, it's just not my favorite. Sorry. All right, number 7 is an album that many fans of a genre might have missed. I was actually in a little record store in South Bend, Indiana, not too long ago. I was up there visiting some family, and I came across a band. I wasn't familiar with the band, but I knew the label, Earache Records, so I had to pick it up. This is Hellbastard. And this is, for one, a really lame album cover. I'm actually glad that it turned out to be something heavy because I wouldn't have known what the hell this was. But anyway, Hellbastard is kind of early death. It's definitely got some thrash elements to it. You can even hear some old Metallica riffs, kind of like Creeping Death being recycled on this album. But it's definitely a death metal band. Like I said, it's an early one, so maybe if you missed out on this one, you might want to check it out. Number 8 says, it's the 40th anniversary of 1980. Show a beloved album from that year. Okay, well, I could have gone, Rush if I wanted to, but I'll go with Van Halen. This is Women and Children First. Number 9 is an album that represents a musical departure for a band or artist. Let's go with Rush. This is Hold Your Fire. Rush has definitely had its different periods, some that were, heavier, and then some were more keyboard and some lighter. This is really probably the most mellow of their albums. This is when they really got a little bit too much in the keyboards and the kind of jazzy feel to a lot of their stuff. Probably the most boring song that Rush has ever written is on this one. That would be Tai Shan. And this is also the album that they realized that it's time to start getting back to our rock roots again. I still love the album. I actually like it better than 2112. It's got some great bass hooks, and I think that's my favorite stuff about it. Force 10, of course, Prime Mover's got a killer bass line to it. And so there's definitely some good stuff on here. It's just definitely very different from where they came from, and it was nice that they returned back to the heavy roots later. Okay, number 10 is a band or album that you avoided in your youth, but that you really dig now. Somebody that I didn't really care for that much, and I don't know why, but back in high school when I was discovering bands, I wasn't really a big fan of Dio. Even though, everyone who was into metal really was into Dio a lot. I think when I was discovering bands, I was into bands. I wanted to be in one of those bands that made chicks want to rip their clothes off, and Dio was not one of those dudes. His audience was all just full of dudes, and I didn't get that. But of course, as I got older, just hearing just what an incredible singer he was, and he always had amazing musicians with him, and so of course I appreciate it much more now. But maybe it's just back then I didn't get this little midget singing about Lord of the Rings and stuff. But hey, whatever. Number 11 is an album cover you're not likely to show your sweet little old grandmother. All right, I actually did this on the last challenge, the Halloween challenge one. So I have to kind of censor this again here. Let me cover this. This is Power from Hell. The album is called Sadistic, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, and pretty shitty drawing on there. So, I mean, the pentagram alone, of course, is going to make, grandma freak out. And then this crappy artwork where the hook's going through the girl here, and some piercings on the hooks going through the nipples here probably make just about anybody uncomfortable, to be honest with you. If you think the art's bad, you should hear the music. It's terrible, but it's something interesting in my collection. Number 12, I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Matt says, show an album that has a childhood significance to you and explain why. Now, I think he referenced, something from his teens still. I'm actually going to go much farther back. We're using the word childhood, and something very different. And I don't have the book with me at the moment. It's in my daughter's room somewhere. But this is The Hobbit. This is one of those little read-along books. You hear the chimes on the record, and that's when you turn the page. And I listened to that when I was a kid. I mean, let me see. Does this have the year on it? 1977. Same year Star Wars came out. So when this animated movie came out, I was 5. And when I had this little record, and I think at one point later I actually had the cassette also, I listened to it so much that into adulthood I had still the whole thing memorized. I just loved The Hobbit growing up, and so yeah, still have it. I actually got this again for my daughter here. She loves it. She loves the animated movie too, so yeah, something fun. But hey, it's a record, it counts. All right, the last one is an album for which the band, album, and title track are all the same. Don't have a whole lot of those, but I do have one. It's a very important one because it's probably the first heavy metal album. It's Black Sabbath, and this is their album Black Sabbath, and the first song on the album is Black Sabbath. So there you go. Okay, that's it for this challenge. Stay tuned in a couple weeks here. I'm putting together my own list that I will put out to the vinyl community for them to try their hand out. I want to try and come up with some little more interesting things and not sound like everyone else's. So we'll see what I can come up with, and I'll put that out. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell symbol so that I can tell you when other stuff's coming out. Got lots of shows coming. October's a busy month, so I got all kinds of cool stuff happening for you. And until then, I will see you next time. Keep the horns up, keep the needle down.